I am all fired up.
I'm excited to hear you guys' thoughts on some of these things.
We got to move on before I completely emotionally and mentally unravel here. All right, welcome back to another Roundball conversation, and this is a bit of a emergency convergence of the Roundball crew as we talk about a couple of things near and dear to all three of us, or at least a couple of the three of us. I'm your host today, JT Cunningham, and I'm joined by my two hosts, Dylan Gorman and Sam Hadler. Dylan, how's it going?
Man, it's a good day or a bad day, I'm not sure, to be a Timberwolves fan, but definitely a good day to be in the Top Shot community. It is unbelievable what's happened in the last week. I'm happy to announce that Sam is now a member also, and I could not be more excited.
I'm so excited too. I had to get my feet wet, had to dip my toes in the water. I felt like I made a pretty good splash. I've been looking around, looking for my second one, but yeah, I'm super excited. I'm surprised, JT. I mean, being the host of a basketball podcast, we got to get you in as well.
Well, it kind of hits on I've been a collector of sports cards and stuff over the years, so it kind of hits on that passion, at least a historical passion of mine. But it's crazy popular, and I think we've talked about between us the limitations of the site and the platform right now. And I think it'll be interesting to see what happens when it gets going. But I don't want to jump into that yet. So we got to start with the bad news first, or good news first. So we're going to jump right into a conversation on the fact that Ryan Saunders is now out as Minnesota Timberwolves head coach, and Chris Finch is now in. So under Saunders, the Wolves were 7-24 this season, and overall they'd gone 43-94 under his leadership. Now, what was your kind of reaction as you guys watched that news unfold yesterday or last night?
I'll go first. Initially, it was kind of shocking. I mean, we kind of knew it was going to be coming sometime in the future. I kind of thought it would be the offseason. But when it happened so soon after the game, I was shocked, especially since we've lost our last 4 or 5 games straight, but they've all been really competitive, good games where it seems like we've progressed as a team. But it's just crazy because, if any of those 4 games that we could have won gone a different way, maybe he isn't fired. And so that's my first reaction to it. My second reaction was it was not a bad time to do it. I mean, our team has really been struggling. There's nothing we can say about his performance that is a positive, and we've lost a lot of close games in the same fashion. So it's like we can't keep doing the same story over and over again. So it's probably a positive, although I feel bad for Ryan Saunders for sure.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping that I was kind of rooting for him to do it in the offseason. I kind of wanted him to stick around just because, I mean, like you said, you kind of feel bad for him. He's a Minnesota guy. I was actually hoping a scenario would play out in which we would keep him on the staff as a bench coach, something along those lines. But just to kind of cut him abruptly like this mid-season, I don't know. It doesn't sit too well with me. But like you said, you can't really make much of an argument for him because we've been just terrible this season. But like I said, and like JT, you mentioned last night when you were talking to us, kind of with the developmental piece, I was just kind of hoping that we kept him on the staff, and maybe we still will. I don't know if there's a plan to bring him back, but I feel like that bridge is probably burned.
Yeah, I think even if Saunders would have been willing to stay on, I'm not sure you do. I mean, it just creates such an awkward position for the players, and I think. And I honestly think Saunders would have been totally professional about it. From all accounts, he's a totally great guy. But you just have this. You never see that in sports. You don't cut off the old head and then leave it lying around while the new head is leading the team. So I think you had to do what you had to do. But like we talked about, So from a decision standpoint, it's hard not to put some of the blame on him now, especially with how the team's done this year. I don't think this roster is a bottom of the league kind of team. Obviously, injuries have hit them really hard. But so much of the progress that we've made lately has been sort of marred by late game failures and execution, which kind of has to come back, and fall directly on his shoulders. So I think that's probably one of the biggest things that makes you think that this is sort of an inevitable decision, really the right decision. But as you touched on, Sam, the development piece, I think, is the one thing you can really point to and say he was great for this roster for. We saw the development of Naz Reid and Jordan McLaughlin, Jaden McDaniels this year. Anthony Edwards has had some moments. Some really great out-of-nowhere contributions from fringe players that we don't typically get with the Wolves. The problem has been from the top guns, and we haven't gotten what we've needed from Cat on both ends of the floor at times, and especially from D'Angelo Russell, just not even being on the court right now either. So it's just, I don't know what else you can do other than, make the move that you made. You can argue about the timing, but.
Were you guys surprised by how quickly they replaced him?
Well,
as with a new coach.
Right, and this is something that had to be kind of in the works, like we mentioned, and because there's no way you replace someone that quick. And then to your point, when you first spoke to him about how quickly we cut him after the game, or fired him, however you want to say it, we had him replaced within like 10 minutes, right? So it's obviously something that was in the works, I feel like, for a while now.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's like kind of the shady part to me, where it's like, it had to be a month-long process. If it wasn't a month-long process, then Gerzas has to really if it was actually happening in the last 36 hours, he needs to be fired himself because you make a coaching decision without any kind of background other than the 36 hours, like Nick Nurse said, then that's just crazy. So it had to be going on longer than that.
Well,
and that's just kind of weird.
So Rosas does have experience with Finch. They were both together in Houston while Rosas was the Pobo there. And apparently he did actually interview two after Ryan's interim tag was up at the end of 2019. But it just sort of like the speed with which he did it. So first of all, hiring a coach from an active coach from another team mid-season to a multi-year deal doesn't happen. That's super weird. So to do it like this and to sort of indicate from Rosas that this was his guy, why was it not his guy last time? Was he really on the fence between those two and he just felt like he made the wrong decision and that was who, he felt was the right choice now? Or does it also speak to something that, maybe Taylor had a hand in orchestrating that decision the first time around when Saunders' interim tag was up?
Right. It felt like the right move at the time to do, kind of like the move you had to do. But what do we know about Finch as a coach? Do we know anything?
Assistant under Nick Nurse. I know he was a G League head coach. Otherwise, I honestly never heard of him before.
Yeah, so kind of a path of his coaching career. So he has been on an NBA bench since 2011 when he was hired by the Rockets, and really at every stop he's been at, and I think it was the Rockets. I want to say the Sixers might have been in there somewhere. The Raptors lately, but I saw a tweet this afternoon that kind of laid out, the team's offensive performances, their offensive ratings the year before he arrived and the year after he arrived. And every stop he's had so far, they've shown dramatic offensive improvement. Obviously, he hasn't been a head guy anywhere, so it's hard to really place too much of that credit on him. But it's sort of a trend that's a little bit hard to ignore too.
So he's coached under some good coaches, though, it sounds like D'Antoni and Nick Nurse. So that's exciting, at least. I was hoping, because we knew this move was going to happen at one point or the other, whether it was after the season or during the season. But I was hoping we'd go with a younger guy. So he's 51, which is not too old, so I'm not too worried about that. But I was just kind of hoping we'd go with a younger guy who can grow with the team. But then again, that's kind of what we did, and it didn't work out that way. So
I think he's actually, I know next to nothing about the guy, but so basically I'm judging him off of the Google photos that I saw when I Googled his name for the first time. But
me too.
But I think he seems to be somewhere in between what Tibbs represented and what Saunders represented, which is probably more so where you want to be. Saunders was the youngest coach in the league when you hired him, and I think what it's kind of looked like since is that he just wasn't ready. And Finch has at least been around some good NBA offenses, some good NBA coaches, some good NBA players. So, by the way, so a press conference happened kind of right before we started recording this. And so this is a quote from Finch and kind of what he wanted to do with the team. So he said he talked to Karl-Anthony Towns, and he told him that he should be at the center of everything. He said it's a tough moment for anyone, but what they talked about was how they can get back to him being the center point of this team. You don't often get that type of skill package in this game. So it sounds like, at first blush anyway, that Finch is serious at getting this team back oriented around Cat, which is also kind of an interesting direction after some of the talk lately has been about Edwards starting to be the focal point of the team going forward. And Cat was just sort of like this maybe potentially trade chip as we build around the real, true franchise center point. So, I mean, do you guys think that approach is the right one? Do you think we should be focusing more on Edwards? I mean, how do you think he's actually going to play this once he comes in?
I mean, it was weird. It's kind of weird that he said that because, I mean, if you watch the games, I mean, he is a focal point of the offense. I mean, he's probably not the leading shot taker, but he's the guy who we revolve the offense around, and he's the one who's getting the ball and then getting double teams and like where we start the action with it. He gets the ball in the post, they double team, he makes the pass, the read, and he's our leading scorer. So I mean that's a little weird. I mean I do probably agree with him where he needs to get the ball more and probably be more of a focal point. But yeah, I mean I that's the right thing you have to say because Cat's our best player and it's not really even close. So I mean that's a great starting point. We'll see how it goes and how he directs the offense and what kind of sets he uses, what kind of defense he uses. I don't really know much about him. So, but if he has the creativity of Nurse, then that would be a great starting point for us.
As far as sets and like offensive direction, how much do you think he can change mid-season like this?
I mean, there's like no practices right now, so I mean, I don't know. You really can't. I mean, I'm sure. Like the basis of the offense, like running from the high post, doing more pick and roll. I mean, I'm sure you can implement that pretty. I mean, these are all like NBA players. They're all like amazing basketball minds and athletes. So I mean, they can change in some ways, but you definitely need practices and off season and to fully integrate the offense.
Yeah, I think the one specific quote I had heard from Finch was that strategically was that he wanted to get Cat the ball in the post more in the flow of the offense, which sounds good on paper. I don't have any idea what that actually means in practice. So
I kind of do see what he's saying though, because like a lot of times like Saunders is running like a dribble handoff up top, and then after the dribble handoff goes nowhere, which it did a lot of possessions, then we give the ball to Cat on the post with about 9 seconds left, and like especially when they're double teaming almost every single time, like 9 seconds is not a lot of time, and then that bogs down the offense and it slows us down. So maybe creating some actions with either pick and roll or the dribble handoff into a post and then doing it like quicker in the offense. I mean, that would make some sense to me.
Sure. Sam, I feel like I might have jumped over the top of you a couple times.
That's all right. I was just going to say, so I feel like in large part Rosa's tenure here in Minnesota is going to be tied to how well we're able to develop a team around Cat. So I've said many times, like, in my opinion, just from a fan, like playing GM, what I would do is I would trade Cat, and I've said that on obviously previous podcasts. But if I were actually Rosas in that situation, you have to do everything you can to build around Cat to try to make it work. Because you have a guy with his talent, and I've never said anything that he's not. I never denied his talent, but when you have someone like that, you have to do your best to kind of build around. So the new coach coming in, I imagine that's kind of they're on the same page, and that's kind of what you have to say. So, like JT mentioned, like building around Edwards, it's just too early for that. We just kind of let him do his thing. He's young. Let him kind of get a feel for the game and the NBA speed, things like that. And then, do what we can to build around Cat and see if it works. So I'm excited to see where this team goes. If, Dylan, to your point too, if he has any sort amount of the creativity that Nick Nurse has, then I think we'll be happy with the hire. But it'll be interesting to see how that shapes out moving forward.
Well, and that's a great point, Sam. Like, if Rosas doesn't build our own cat right now, we're gonna lose for the next like 3 or 4 years. He's gonna be out of a job, so he has to do it. I mean, it's a has to if he wants a job.
Right. Yeah, they're just like Morey and Harden were kind of joined at the hip in Houston. I think much of the same is how, to a lesser degree, but how Rosas and Towns are going to be in Minnesota. I feel like if it doesn't work, then Rosas will be out of a job, and then that's probably when you're looking to trade Towns as well.
Yep.
So.
Do you think so? You think flat out Rosas would not survive post Cat?
He would have to do it like right now. He would have to trade him right now because otherwise, no, he's not going to. Because think about it, like if he's doing what he's saying he's going to do, like Cat, he'd have to build around Cat for the next like 2 or 3 years, right? And then if Cat wants to leave in the next 2 or 3 years, that means we've been losing. So if we lost like the last 2 years plus the next 2 or 3 years without like much improvement, then he's out of the job. I mean, that's just what happens in the NBA.
Yeah, that's probably fair.
Yeah, I agree. I think it'll be interesting to see. Like, I don't know how he's gonna do it, but he's gotta. The thing I like about him is how he's aggressive. Like when you're in a small market and you're not able to attract any free agents, I like how he's aggressive in trying to obtain talent. Like what we saw with the Russell trade. Even now, it's not looking like a great deal, right? But it's just kind of that's how his philosophy and what he acquired from his days in Houston. And so I like he's bringing that to Minnesota. But again, if he can't put enough around Towns within the next 2 or 3 years, then I can't see him sticking around for the long term.
Well, I don't know about you guys, but I actually like how the Timberwolves have been progressing, especially some of our like young players. And I know the results haven't shown yet, but maybe with the new coach, those results could come because we could have won the last 5 or 6 games. Like every game has been within a 1 possession. I think we're like 6-12 in 1 possession or games that come down to 5 points in the last 5 minutes, which means clutch time. So I mean, I don't know. Maybe that's the difference right there. I mean,
a lot of that. As JT alluded to, like it could be coaching, but I think a lot of it too is just we don't really have anyone who can close, really, right? No one who can kind of. I mean, Edwards potentially down the road, but certainly not now. So,
well, and you always need that perimeter player that can break down the defense, and
that's what I mean.
Yeah, we don't have that. Yeah.
Like Towns is a big. It's just kind of unfortunate, for him the position he plays. He can't really take you off the dribble and. You kind of have to,
Yeah, that was sort of the same position. I mean, going back to the Kevin Love days, the same problem we had then too. Love was by far our best player, and we just had so much trouble, especially that year. I think we went like 40 and 42. We almost broke 500 that year, but it was like I don't know how many games we lost in that fourth quarter because our best player wasn't able to step up and take the shots we needed him to take because that just wasn't who he was. When it came down to it and we needed to play ISO ball or something at the end of the game, it's just not going to happen for Kevin Love. So I think you do see a little bit of that with Towns, but we do also have a little bit more perimeter talent than we had back then too.
Well, and that's the thing, just with big guys in general. Like even if you watch like Embiid, like he's not a lot of times closing the games, and he's might be the MVP of the league. It's because it's really hard to get the ball because they're like once you like focus all the energy to stop him getting the ball, you can throw 3 guys on him at the end of the game, or you can double team, and then once you double team, it's like it's hard to get a shot up, and it's a lot of chaos, and that's just a lot harder than like let's say Dame taking a step back 3-pointer, So it makes sense. So we just gotta find that guy to pair with our big, and hopefully that's Edwards.
And we talked about it previously too with Middleton and Giannis. Giannis is such a force during the entire game, but he goes and stands in a corner sometimes and lets Middleton cook at in the final couple minutes. So it happens.
Oh, by the way, I came across 2 like really upsetting Timberwolves tweets today. One was like. Clutch games like all time for a franchise, and the Timberwolves we had the worst record. We had a .45 winning percentage in close games, and like the next closest was like .475 or something like that, which it doesn't seem like a lot, but it is a ton. And then the other one was so it showed like the Timberwolves from like Kevin Love's year when we were 40 and 42, and then it showed the net rating and Pythagorean theorem, which how many games we should have won, and it was like 48 and 34. It was like I saw both those, I'm like, God damn it, Timberwolves fans, we're cursed. It's tough.
We've been defying the odds for years.
Yep. Yeah.
But yeah, so I just want to, I think I want to move on, but I think one last thing I kind of want to just mention is, so Rosas's quote today from that press conference kind of was the following: "We've got the worst record in the NBA, and we're struggling on both sides of the ball. We need to be boldly direct with this opportunity." So as much as you can say about sort of the unfortunate nature of the timing of this move, I think what I do like and what I think it does represent to a degree is sort of like the we're over with Minnesota nice right now. We're not going to worry about it. This is not acceptable. Being the worst team in the league again is not acceptable, and we're not going to worry about the aesthetics of how we move on from this. We just know we need to move on, and we're going to make the right decision that we need to. So I like that part of it, actually.
Me too. Aggressive. Love it.
There we go. Well, so now we'll move on from the Timberwolves news to the news you guys really want to talk about, and that's sort of the blow up of NBA Top Shot, especially over the past week or two. So Dylan, I'm gonna just totally hand it over to you, and you can dive as deep as you want to on NBA Top Shot here.
All right. Well, first, I would like an apology from both of you about NBA Top Shot, and I like to say that it's been pretty sweet, and I think you guys both got to admit it's pretty cool to see how much it's blowing up.
I will not apologize.
I'm still worried though. Yes, I'm not going to apologize either, even though I'm bought in now. Because I still have my concerns, but yeah.
I'm still
okay,
just
as
confused. I'm actually more confused than I was the last time we talked about it. So.
Yeah, well, I think the part you're missing, JT, and I think the part that I think you've seen, Sam, is like it's not just like the collectibles, not just the money. It's like I think everybody's seeing that how cool like the product is, and that's what's like attracting and keeping people on the site. I think a lot of it can be due with the money and how much it's blowing up, but like I hope you're playing my moment on the bottom right now, JT.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean you see that and I just get excited. I mean, I want to show everybody. I want to talk about it. And it's something that, you can have on your phone. And one of the differences that I feel like between like this and then like the card collecting or like any other type of collectibles is how easy and fun you can share it on Twitter, Instagram, how easy you can show your friends, and then how easy it is to like get into the game, there's some things with like cards where you have to go on eBay and you have to like worry about shipping like a physical card. You have to worry about getting graded. Like these are all like on like the tip of your fingers to buy and sell and like show your friends. And I think that's really cool. And I think that's part of the reason it's blowing up.
For me, like, so I'm not so, the moments are cool. Like your Zion one that JT's playing, he's playing mine now. I think, right, JT?
Yep.
Yeah. But the Zion one that Dylan had, that's a cool moment. Like that one, that block that was his rookie year, right, Dylan?
Yeah.
Yep. So that moment's really cool, and that's one you kind of want to share, and that's almost like a collectible moment.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, I'm coming at it from a little different perspective. Honestly, the moment itself is not really what I'm buying for. I'm almost kind of looking at it as like an investment into players.
Yeah.
And that's kind of why I look right off the bat at some of the rookies. So I settled on the Halliburton one that JT's playing right now. And I really like the idea of investing in player performance, and, the more that Halliburton has success on the court, the more the value will rise for this particular card. And so the moment itself, there's cool moments, and, there's certain moments that I obviously want to collect over others, but I kind of look at it from that perspective. And then the other perspective that I started looking at was potentially looking for like underpriced cards that I think should be maybe priced a lot higher, or just able to maybe find more value than what it's currently trading for. So those are kind of like the two big things that I look for when I'm kind of scanning the site. But there's no doubt that like there's some really cool moments out there that I obviously want to share too. But the Halliburton one is just like his first basket. It's nothing special, but yeah.
But it's almost like a stock into a player.
Yeah, right. And that's kind of how I look at it.
But what you're talking about, though, that part of it, though, that isn't any different than traditional memorabilia.
No.
Right. But it's a lot more accessible than traditional memorabilia.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. So the only reason I'm confused about it is just that I don't disagree with what you're saying and sort of the conveniences that it brings over what is traditional physical, sports memorabilia and collecting. I just don't understand the exorbitant price of these items in comparison. I agree that it might be the future of, sports collecting. I don't understand why it's so much more, expensive than the alternative.
Well, I think there's a lot of like socioeconomic factors that are like happening now with the site. One, like cryptocurrency has exploded in the last couple months, right? And there's like an overlap between the crypto community and the Top Shot, because like the Top Shot community is based on non-fungible tokens. That's which they're based on blockchain, right?
Yep.
So I really see a lot of people from the Bitcoin community and then like also this community like merging because people find themselves with a lot of money and then they want to buy something cool with it. And these people are maybe not your normal cats, where it's like, oh, I'm gonna go buy a Tesla. I mean, people probably do that, but like, hey, I want to buy another cooler, more scarce item, and this is that's another thing, like the scarcity of it, and like that's why a lot of like the value is going up between like the Bitcoin community, the scarcity, and then like just like the NBA fandom. Like people want to be more a part of the game. They want to be more invested. They want to be able to like show off to their friends. Like I think that there's like so many different like factors going into it that like that's why it's becoming so popular and so like heavily invested in.
One of the concerns I have too is like with the long term, like you mentioned scarcity. I feel like a year or 2 years down the road, I mean, we could just all of a sudden be saturated with so many items that are available out there that, why would you want to go back and pay this amount of money for this particular like Series 3 item? So we're on Series 2 right now. So we get a Series 3 item and this particular player has, say, already 15 different moments under his name. That's kind of the part I have. Like long term right now, there's a lot of buzz around it, obviously, and there's a lot of money moving through the site. But in a year, is there going to be that just too many items?
Yeah, and I agree with you, Sam, and that's like
part of it. I wasn't like asking you. I was asking you. I was just kind of as like a talking point for that, because that's like one concern that I have with just the site in general.
Here's how I think they would handle it, and I don't know. I can't predict how much the peaks of the high end, the rarest of the rare of these cards, of what the value proposition of those things will look like going forward. But I think what you'll see is that they will flood the market with more cards in order to make it more accessible to the average fan. But they're going to be flooded with the common cards, right? You're still going to keep the rares and sort of the ultra rares exactly that. And so those top end cards, the ones of the greatest players and the greatest moments, they're still going to retain value because they'll never flood them with those cards.
Well, yeah, and that's the point I was going to say.
Moments,
is like, sorry. Oh yeah, no, and that's no, you guys are completely right. I mean, that's a fact, But that's like any like memorabilia. Like my dad just gave me his pack from the Tops. He had every single baseball player from the 1984 season, and he had it in a pack, right? And he gave it to me, and I'm like, oh, how much is it worth? And he's like, I looked it up online, $75. So that's what happens in every, but that's what is part of the fun. I mean, if you try to find those like rare cards, trying to find those valuable players, and like you said, Sam, you like Tyrese Halliburton, you think he's gonna be a good player in the future, so you invested in his card, Yeah. So I mean that's part of the fun of it. I mean, not every card can make money, and that's like any community,
Well, so just to refute the point on the 1984 set, was that basketball or what sport was that?
It was baseball. It was like the Topps 1984 like baseball set.
There was a time, so that's kind of in the sweet spot of I don't know if I'd say sweet spot, but you have cards from like the 1960s and prior where they were mostly just like, sort of like kids' toys essentially, and they weren't really valued as collectibles. And for that reason that, a lot of cards from that era were really rare. And then once people actually started to sort of like, I don't know if it was that era that grew up with them that continued to collect as they got older, but then people started viewing them as collectibles, and then they started to really preserve like sort of the base sets like that a lot more. So that's why you get that sort of era of cards being a lot more devalued than others. And especially like sports collecting and memorabilia, like the way that card collecting has gone, especially in recent years, is way more towards the premium end. So like now it's not just like you buy a box and it's every single card in there, and that's like what you would get. You are buying like $200-$300 packs or whatever, and with the promise or the expectation that there might be, a one-of-one autograph from Mickey Mantle in there or something like that. It's a lot more towards that end for collectors now than it was, in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah, for sure, and that's kind of why I bought the card I bought. Like, I wanted to go top end. I wanted to go like big with it, and I wanted to make sure like I got like an all-time player with an all-time like highlight, and that was like my value proposition, and that's why I bought the card I bought. So
yeah, and it's dope, no doubt about that.
Thank you. Hey JT, will you? I'm really bad at explaining stuff. So will you explain NBA Top Shot just for everybody, just one more time, so anybody who doesn't know what we're talking about knows what it is?
So. All right. NBA Top Shot is essentially digital trading cards of NBA moments, highlight moments of the players that they have. And they are based, as Dylan said, on non-fungible tokens. And that's sort of a core component of blockchain, which, as he said, it kind of intersects with Bitcoin and the community around cryptocurrency, because all those things are sort of based on blockchain technology. And non-fungible tokens are essentially things that sort of, they guarantee uniqueness, and which is sort of lends itself well to kind of what, Dylan mentioned, sort of the conveniences around, or the lack of convenience around physical collecting being, the process it takes to establish grade, establish the authenticity of physical memorabilia. It's sort of built into the blockchain by design, and the fact that it is sort of that sort of technology. So it's apparently, NBA Top Shot has apparently been around since like July 2019. It sort of entered a public beta very recently. And I think, as Dylan mentioned too, with sort of the socioeconomic factors around sort of the absolute ballooning of crypto prices lately, it's been sort of a crossover between interest in those assets and that technology sort of lending itself really well to the NBA as it came back, and as those kind of technologies have taken hold on popular culture. So
yeah, one thing I'll add is, like, when you say moment, like, we're collecting like players' highlights. So we're collecting like the best moments from players' careers. Well, maybe not the best moments, but moments from their careers. Memorable moments from their career. So you get to buy a piece of the action, as they say. You get to own a part of the league. It's NBA licensed, NBA approved. And I read this tweet to you guys earlier, but I just wanted to bring it up one more time. Let me just grab it. So Brian Windhorst, one of the biggest NBA writers, wrote a story about NBA Top Shot about a week ago. Since that that story came out 7 days ago. Top Shot has done $111 million in transactions. In the last 24 hours, it's done 47 million. Owners have increased by 50%. And like some of the biggest moments, like a week ago, like the biggest moment was sold for 100,000. Like today, there's one that sold for 208,000. My moment was the 5th highest moment purchased on the site ever, and now I'm 15th within 2 days. Like that's how much like the community is blowing up. I mean, it went from $2 million in sales last Monday to 47 million this Monday. So NBA players are tweeting about it. People are investing. It's really going crazy right now.
And one thing I left out too is sort of in that explanation of Top Shot is sort of officially licensed and partnered with by the NBA. So they are getting a cut of this action, and and the players are, they do have a reason to be invested in its success too. So that's kind of an interesting factor as sort of this momentum drives forward.
Mm-hmm. So JT, are you gonna buy a moment then, or?
No, So I kind of joked about this when you said you had bought your first one, that it was like a Cody Zeller rebound. I think it'd be super sweet if they just start like plugging in a couple of those. Like those would be kind of the common cards that you'd get. It's just like the most boring moment you could possibly imagine, like a Jared Vanderbilt lost ball out of bounds or something. And like there should just be like a ton of diversity in there. I can't wait for the Ron Artest like fight in the Malice in the Palace. That'd be dope. How about that one?
Oh, that'd be sick.
Oh.
Where he like jumps over the bench or something.
Starts throwing punches. That'd be great.
Oh, that'd be awesome. Go ahead, Dylan.
Oh, Sam, how much did you pay for LeBron's block in Game 7 of the NBA Finals?
Oh my God, I was thinking that when I first joined Top Shot, that was literally right where I went. I went to LeBron James to see if that moment existed. And yeah, I would. That's just if there's ever one that I would just pay a ridiculous amount for, it would probably be that one. Just you imagine unlocking that one in a pack.
Oh my God, I would lose.
As soon as you see that one,
I'd cry,
you just know that. Oh yeah, you just know that you just bankrolled big time. Because that one would go for so much money.
Yeah, I'd also like to make an apology to Jack, who I talked about on the prior podcast. I think he might be right with his value on his card, his LeBron James 23 card. And then I also messaged Easy Ace. That guy's a baller. He has number 8, Kobe, like of the LeBron moment, like the LeBron Kobe dunk. And he said hell no to my offer, and he looks like he's right so far.
Yeah. It's crazy. Like, and then I was thinking about some other ones, like the Kyrie shot in that same game, and then
yeah.
I would even pay a lot of money, honestly, for that K-Love defense on Curry.
Oh, yeah, that'd be sick. Yeah, or
yeah,
or like MJ's like the mid-range shot where and then and pumping in the air and stuff like
that crossover
like
Game 7 winner.
Shrug.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so AI, Trace McGrady and Shaq are coming out. Their moments are coming out. What if it's the AI crossover on T-Lue? The step over on T-Lue.
Oh,
that'd be sick.
Man, I'd pay a lot of money for that.
It's gonna be like. So are they gonna? A couple things. Are they gonna like go back and do a lot of these like retroactively, or is it just certain player, like a handful of players that they'll be releasing some? Or how are they plan on doing that moving forward? So
I talked to Easy Ace about it, and he said that it's harder to get like guys that are not in the league to get their moments. I'm not sure why. I'm not sure if there's some like licensing agreement or not. I mean, JT, I know you said that there is not. The NBA doesn't own all these highlights. Is that correct?
No, they do own them. They're just not aggressive in enforcing copyrights about them. Because they consider it good marketing. But I don't know if it would be harder for former players, because I don't know if it's something to do with the fact that they wouldn't be, currently a part of like the NBA Players Union. And so that, it wouldn't, their use of their name and likeness maybe isn't still covered by any sort of agreement that's active. I don't know what the reason could be, I guess, but.
Well, I probably know that because the Player Association also endorsed it and they licensed it, so they're getting a cut of the pay. Yeah. So I'm guessing the prior players are not getting any portion of that. So then they're probably gonna sue them if they don't get cut of it, you know.
And so maybe they're going to individual players and making these requests or creating some sort of agreements, and that's why it's a slower rollout for the the alumni. But who knows?
Yeah. Well, if you see, there's like 4 tiers of moments on the NBA Top Shot, and there's been no rare ones that have come out yet. So like legendary is like the most valuable moment right now, and those are moments that there's only up to 50 like copies of that moment. So the rare is gonna be like
The
5
ultimate,
or 10.
right?
Or sorry, you're right, Sam.
Rare's out there.
Yeah, you're right. Sorry, Sam. It's ultimate. Yeah. So once the ultimate moments come out, it's gonna be crazy.
Gonna be crazy.
Yeah.
So also, for instance, like this Anthony Edwards dunk the other day, like how long do we plan to wait for that one to be like in circulation? Is there like an estimated time frame usually that these take place, or what?
I don't know. I like follow like Top Shot on like Twitter, and they have like a weekly vote on like moments to be made. So I don't know if that's like just for fun, or if that's like actually they're gonna make that moment, because I think the Anthony Edwards one was like a no-brainer, like got voted in. Yeah. So I don't really know the process, and I know that they're still coming out with packs from prior drops, and like they haven't like handed out all the packs yet. So and by the way, if anybody didn't know, like you can buy like packs that you can open, and then you get a randomized moment, kind of like opening a pack of cards.
Right. Yeah, so I mean, I don't have any idea what the process is, but for them deciding what moments are included and when, but I would imagine that sort of the past week for them and the trouble that you guys have described in their, stabilizing their platform, that might be taking sort of some precedence too. So who knows? They need to get that. They need to get that under control before they worry about adding moments. But
yeah, there's been a lot of complaints like on the pack drops. Like there's like 20,000 people in the queue, and like people like it'll say that they're number one in the queue, and then they'll just get dropped, and somebody else will get the pack. That's been a big issue. I can't withdraw any of my money, which has been a big problem. Like Sam, you couldn't buy your moment, right?
Yeah, I was really frustrated because it was listed at one price, and then when I created my account, I thought, you create an account on any other website, it goes through right away, it's created, it's within their system. But for some reason, it took hours to process my account to become official. So I could still search the marketplace and look for like different moments. And so I found one that I liked, and I wanted to buy it at this certain price. And then, unfortunately, my account, hadn't been approved at that point. So this was like late at night. I went to bed, woke up the next morning, and the price had skyrocketed. Skyrocketed for the relative to what the original price was. And then I had to buy it like $300 or $400 more. And then throughout the day today, this was yesterday when I first kind of joined the game, joined the community. And the price has gone, steadily up since the beginning of today, which is awesome. But I wish I had brought it in at that lower price. So yeah, I mean, that was a one-time deal. So like if you're planning on, if you're planning on getting some, joining the community, I would probably create the account right away, so that you don't have to run into that same issue.
And that
just another thing that just like, oh man, come on. And that was kind of like what started it for me, is like, the website's flaky.
Well, I think like Dapper Labs, that's like the company that made NBA Top Shot. Like I looked online, they only have like, this was like a couple weeks ago, they had like 30 employees. So like,
really?
Yeah. So I don't think they were expecting this. I mean, they invented crypto kitties, which actually was like a huge, like they did like 100 million in sales in crypto kitties, which seems ridiculous. But then again, I'm buying an NBA Top Shot, so
yeah.
But like, yeah, they have to iron out some issues, because I couldn't withdraw money. I mean, that seems crazy to me. I mean, I know like with Bitcoin, you gotta watch out for like fraud, or they do, where I'm sure it's regulated heavily, but it was frustrating. I sent like 3 or 4 emails.
Yeah, you know what? There's probably like a couple of owners out there of CryptoKitties thinking about how ridiculous it is that you guys are paying for basketball moments. So,
have you guys seen Crypto Punks now?
I have not.
I'm not. Oh yeah. The Avatar type deals.
The avatars, yeah. There's
Yeah.
one that sold for 1.25 million for a
That's
Twitter
crazy.
avatar, yeah, and they're like trading for like
Wait,
30,000.
Do you know who bought that?
I don't.
Okay. 'Cause I'm pretty sure it was a big time like DFS guy.
Oh, what was it?
I think I saw a video on Twitter. I have to go back to confirm, but
Well, it's like basically if you buy one of those, like it's like signifying you're rich. You look on Twitter and you see like the Abby or the avatar that's like that. You're like, oh, that guy's rich.
See,
Yeah.
or you could go into Microsoft Paint and create one just like it in about 5 minutes.
JT, not the same.
it's not the same. Yeah, JT.
I think it would look pretty much the same.
I could also go into like a video editor, give me like a day or two, and I could redo that Zion Williamson block that Dylan bought.
I mean, at least there's a platform built around Top Shot, though. When we're talking about Twitter avatars, who cares?
Some people, obviously.
Well,
Yeah,
I
right.
guess. I think you're right in just saying people have a lot of money and just leave it at that.
Yo, like someday I'm gonna get like a room just for my Top Shots where I'm like you can sit down and
in
watch.
there.
Yeah, like a projector. That'd be
Yeah.
so dope.
Yeah, get my like 4 biggest ones like on the walls or something.
Yeah. Have like a movie theater seating, like facing all different walls.
yeah, yeah. Oh man, I can't wait. It's gonna be a great day.
So one thing I wish they would enhance is like the soundtrack that's playing during the moment.
Yeah, you should be able to pick it.
Yeah, you should be able to pick it, or they should have some sort of like option that you can choose from, or just something better than what they have.
Is there music playing behind him?
It's like a standard like jingle type deal.
Oh.
It's nothing. It's not like actual. I mean,
It's like aggressive elevator music, like it's like cool sounding elevator music.
All right.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I feel like you should at least have the option to either, I guess, have some sort of music behind it or just use like the original like announcing. Like, because wouldn't it be cool to hear the call of like the Zion block? I feel like I'd rather have that.
What would be so cool is like in big, like because we talked about it earlier, like the LeBron James block in the NBA Finals, like just that moment. Like when I think about that moment, obviously the block is the moment. But like the atmosphere, like around that block, like if we were listening to the actual broadcast at that time or the commentators, it'd be incredible. You'd feel like
the block by James, like the brain.
Yeah.
You hear that in your head still. Like I can still hear that.
Exactly.
And, I feel like we're sort of like crowdsourcing some solutions for Top Shot. I don't know if there's any reason they haven't done this, but it would actually be really cool too to like make different versions of those moments where like you'd have like the Lakers broadcast playing over the top of it and like the Warriors broadcast playing over the top of a different version, and you could get like either perspective on it. It'd be kind of cool.
Yeah. Or if you really like Young Thug and you want to get Young Thug song on there, and then you
This is the Young Thug podcast, or Taylor Swift, I guess, if you want.
Get Taylor Swift.
I just think that would be so cool to have like Mike Breen over the top of that. That'd be like, because when I think about that moment, that's part of it for me. Like, like I remember watching that. You remember watching it, Dylan. Like in that moment, like the Mike Breen call is what also makes that moment what it is. It's not just the block. It's the, as you just, the voice, you can hear it in your head as it's like playing. And to have that like within the moment, like that would make me much more inclined to like purchase moments for the actual moment. Because like I said, I'm kind of more investing in players and things like that right now. But there's certain moments like that where I would just be like, yeah, I have to like get that.
Well, can't you like feel like the stadium, like how shocked they were and how like the buzz, like it was at Oracle, so then people were not happy, but they were still like so excited by seeing that play. And like with Van Gundy and Mark Jackson, like they were just like they didn't even know what to say. Like there was like that was the most incredible thing. Like they were in shock. Like, oh, I would love that. I would pay any amount of money for that.
I'm just thinking about that game. There's like 3, almost 4 moments, like just in that last 3 minutes or so, like last 5 minutes, whatever. The block was probably 3 minutes left in the game, somewhere around there. But then you have the shot, obviously, and then I don't know if you want to dub it the defense, but by K Love.
the stop.
The stop. Oh, there you go. That's even better. The stop. And then there was that almost moment where Kyrie had it and LeBron made a cut to the basket, and he almost threw it down, and he went on to hit 1 of 2 free throws, seal the game.
Almost the best.
I'm a 3-time champion. Yeah.
Almost the best dunk of all time.
That would have, I got out of my chair and I was just ready to go crazy. And I don't know how we got onto this, but anyways, but it's another thing too that we didn't really touch on. It's just crazy how much, we kind of did, how it's grown just since December. Like if you would have got on the ground floor in December with a lot of these moments, just the one that I bought, there was like $1,400 difference from when it was first bought to when I bought it. And so these guys, and they all bought them in December when, these, for the most part, when it was kind of becoming pretty big. So it's just crazy. It's still early though. So it's still a good time to get in.
Well, I talked to you guys and I talked on the podcast, I think even like a couple months or like a month ago or whatever, like the Zion one that I bought was like $15,000. I was about to buy it, and then now I had to buy it for $59,000, you know what I mean? And I felt like that was a good value still, you know what I mean? And and I wanted to buy that LeBron moment so bad too, and then it got sold off from me. It's crazy. If you Easy Ace, my man, he bought 3 of those LeBron moments for 5, 10, and 15,000, and now they're all worth probably over 100 grand. Easy. Easy.
That's crazy.
I think you think Easy Ace is your friend, but I think he might be your enemy. So.
But the dude's my bro. So I know at some point if I ever ask him hey man, I'll pay you a little extra. Will you give me a LeBron moment? He's gonna be okay, bro. He's gonna be
you got it.
Well.
You don't want to. Yeah, you want to stay on his good side just in case.
His mom has. His mom's maiden name is Gorman, so we have a deep connection.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, from Toronto. Shout out.
Lineage dating back to the homeland of Ireland, I'm sure.
Yeah, probably.
So, with all this being said, JT, have we convinced you to join the community with us? I mean, I feel like I said, being the host of a podcast that's talking about basketball throughout the season, I mean, I feel like you have to. I mean, even if it's find a $90 back.
Here's what I would do. So I absolutely love the adrenaline rush of opening packs. So hearing you guys talking about this, I told you guys that last year I got super nostalgic for Pokemon cards and I bought another box, and it's this super fun just dumb way of gambling, right? You just feel this adrenaline rush every time you open one. So if I did anything, I would do that. But I still don't. I'm still a sucker for physical media. I just.
JT, you're a computer engineer.
Right. You gotta. That's not a good look for you, JT.
I know it's not. I know it's not exactly on brand for me, but I'm just trying to diversify my interests.
So.
JT, say you go first.
I was just gonna say, I mean, there's a Levine one that just sold for crazy amount of money. Imagine
30
if you would have got in a month ago, JT, and you would have bought that Levine one. Man.
See, but if I got one I wanted, I wouldn't want to sell it. So I would.
Well, then just keep it.
Yeah, but that's the thing is I'm not gonna get into this. I'm just not confident enough myself to use it as an investment opportunity. It would be just for the pure passion of collecting it. But the prices are so crazy right now. I'm not gonna get in just for that purpose. So.
All right, JT, I got 2 things for you. One, you can have passion like I do and also find an investment, and it combines the best of both worlds. Like for Sam with gambling, he sees an investment, loves football, the best of both worlds. It's saying this, I love the NBA, I love Bitcoin, and I love investing and trying to make money. So this is the perfect mix. It's just freaking awesome. And the second thing was, you were talking about adrenaline rush. When I bought my Zion card, I almost passed out. That was the most excited I've been in this might be sad, but months at least. I was in the match patching balls, going back and forth, pacing. I almost I sat down, put head in the hands. I'm what am I doing? What the hell am I doing? And then I just did it, and it was awesome. I don't regret it one bit.
And then also, JT, to your point about not wanting to use it as an investment strategy, but for me, it's I feel I'm opposite of Dylan in this regard because I'm way more risk averse than what Dylan is, and even investing, it's more passive, long-term investing, index funds, things of that nature.
Yep.
but the fact that I can like come into this and like trade stuff that I actually like NBA players, like you just don't get that like all the time, and you can still kind of, there's still different strategies that you can take, within Top Shot that make it like fun and interesting, and then still have that adrenaline rush. So it's like, I don't know, I was like all night looking through these. It's so addicting and
yeah, it's like Sam went from like not doing it and then just going on the marketplace and like just got addicted and like love it. And JT, you just gotta go on the marketplace sometime. And do what I'm gonna do for Colin's first birthday, I'm gonna buy her a moment.
I'm gonna buy her a John Collins moment.
Oh yeah. Yeah, so JT, you gotta create an account because you can gift moments. So I'm gonna gift Collins a moment.
You can create. I didn't look into them. You can create like some sort of sets. I don't know what they are or what they entail. But can I do like a Collins set where I get like a Zach Collins, like a John Collins, and then gift that over to JT?
Yeah, you could. Yeah, it was I created like a trophy room, like a virtual trophy room, so you can do like the same thing.
And tell Collins that she can't put these up for sale until she's like 18 or 21.
It's her college fund.
Instead of buying her like a United States Treasury bond, we buy her a Top Shot moment.
John Collins just blows up over the next 10 years. It's like worth like $100,000.
MVP.
Yeah, he's an MVP. He's like a Hall of Famer, like a 6-time champion.
Yeah.
Oh man. But yeah. I feel like you should definitely get in, JT. It's a lot of fun.
I'll start, dipping my toes in maybe a little bit once things settle down a little bit. I think it's too hot right now. I'm not somebody who jumps in when it's sort of at the peak of, the news cycle. So
Oh,
it's not the big. It's the bottom, JT.
No, it's definitely not.
I'm with you, JT, because I'm a little like I said, I expressed my hesitancy still. So like I'm kind of more on the low end market. I don't feel like I want to dump a bunch of money into it just because I'm just the uncertainty, and like I said, I'm much more risk adverse, and it just scares me to death to try to like go after like a big top moment, especially when I'm not like that, at least as invested in the actual moment that Dylan is. But don't get me wrong, I love the Zion one and all of that. So like it's just different strategies, right? So I feel like, I don't know, I feel like you got to dip your toes in the water at least, and just because once you start, like today, I was looking at my phone all day, just checking prices and just checking like sales history and stuff. And what I want to do next is I'm hoping that like the website that tracks all of the transactions, I don't know how like detailed or granular it is, but I'd love to like scrape some of that and just look for different like trends and insights and what drives the price for some of these. It'd be really cool to.
I was gonna mention that. That'd be a good thing for you guys. I mean, you guys are really good with like algorithms and like computer stuff, so like that might be a actual avenue to do it. But
yeah, that would be cool. I think, and I'm not anti it. Like you guys are doing your best. I think the problem is you're pitching me an addiction, which is not something I'm looking to add to my life right now. So.
Oh, so I told Meg about that moment, and I was like, she's like, how much? I'm like, you don't want to know.
Did she guess?
Like,
Did she guess? That would have been sweet to have her guess.
Well, so I was looking at the LeBron moment that was like $100K.
Oh, okay.
So like she's like $100K. I'm like, no.
Okay.
Like,
oh wow.
Yeah,
well, then it was just bargain.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but she's like, but I finally said the price, and she's like, no, you didn't. I'm like, yeah. She's like, get out of here. and then she goes back to her room, and then I'm just like sitting by the door, and she's like, you have a problem. And she's like, I don't know if it's money or gambling, but you have a problem. I was like, you're not wrong, but it's pretty fun. It's so much fun.
Yeah.
I mean, Dylan, I can't blame you. You made your Bitcoin money, and you got one that is a player in a moment that you'll love forever anyway. So
yeah. I'm still waiting for the LeBron moment, but I look at my moment every day. I love it.
Yeah, and then I mean, like we both just love Zion. Like he's the future of the league, obviously. So it's just a super cool moment to have like that, knowing that there's not going to be any more that come out of that, and just like that one. So I don't know. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, I feel like a Zach LaVine one, JT, would suit you just right.
I mean, I'd be pretty stoked for that, but I mean, he might be a little above my pay grade too now at this point.
Well, he's
especially when he makes the All-Star team. So
yeah, that's why a lot of people are buying it right now, because he's probably gonna make the All-Star. So like, there was like one that was, I think he sold for like 30,000. I mean, it's crazy.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
I love my boy Zach. I just don't love him for $30K yet.
So there's JT. There's some limited edition ones like that you can get for like 200 or less. I'm looking at Zach LaVine right now. There's only one, I guess.
Well, one is some.
Yeah. I mean, just to have the moment. It's a step back three, just nothing but net against Portland. Pretty sweet. I'm not gonna lie. It was. Let's see what the moment says, because JT, I think this is your first buy. Hit him with the jab step and pull up from deep. Zach LaVine's multi-layered game looks just as nice beyond the perimeter. He finished with 18 points and 9 assists that game.
18 and 9. He's averaging over 30 like the last 10 games.
It was a bad game for him, but it was a hell of a step back. But I don't know, JT. I feel like that would be a good one for you.
I'll take a poker. I'll take a look around the marketplace, and we'll see what we can do.
Or I know there's some really cheap Jared Culvers, and you're so high on him. So
I wouldn't say I'm high enough to make a purchase on Jared Culver, but maybe McDaniels, maybe Jaden.
Oh, you should get a Jaden. That'd be a good move. But hey, one quick last thing. It's not just like the moment though too. It's like really cool how they like have like the stats from the game. They have like measurements. They have like his averages that year. There's like a lot of like cool stuff that they add to it, and like
like a player bio kind of deal.
Yeah.
Hometown.
Just like a sports card.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and then it has on the bottom like the link to the blockchain that actually you can see like where it came from and where it was sold and stuff. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, for like your particular purchase, and then if you look at just the general card, you can see like where it's going, and from the card itself, it only shows like the recent sales history, but it's still pretty cool just to see like how it's trending and whatnot.
Yeah.
So I was looking at, like I said, throughout the day today. It's oh man, it's gonna be my new addiction. I know.
This weekend was awful. I was just like every 20 minutes, every 2 minutes, I was like looking at like see if my LeBron came on the site.
I was honestly thinking about ways to like set up notifications for ones that I thought were like underpriced that I could see like moving pretty quickly.
I don't think you can. I've tried to figure that out.
Guys, we gotta wrap it up. We talked about Saunders for 15 and Top Shot for 45. So we gotta put the cap on this conversation and move on to kind of what we're up to until next time. What's on deck for us? I think we all know we got the Open coming up down in Arizona. How stoked are you guys for that?
Oh man, I'm already down here. I'm waiting for you guys to come. I got tomorrow off too, so it's like my first day of vacation. And I picked Pat up from the airport Wednesday morning. He comes in and kind of kicks off the weekend. So I'm super stoked. I can't wait for you guys to get here.
Yeah, man, I got a new polo. I got a new hat. I got a golf bag. I'm just like, I'm raring to go. It's gonna be so much fun. Like, Sam, we can show each other's Top Shot moments in person.
I can't wait to see your moment live though. Like from your phone. Like I want you holding it up, and I'm gonna take like a picture of you holding the moment. It's gonna be super cool. I can't wait to show you mine live.
Okay. All right.
Maybe
I'm excited for Arizona too. I'm not excited for that part of it.
But so I just hope that on the golf course I'm not checking prices every 20 seconds.
It's better not take over.
After every swing, it's gonna be like.
But I will say though, I probably spent more on this trip than what I did for that Halliburton moment. Like you said, Dylan, new polo, new hat, all that stuff. I'm kind of right in the same boat with you. I needed to upgrade in my golf gear just because it was pretty poor. So, and we're in Arizona. We're doing it big. So I got the polo. I got a couple like shirts. I got all that good stuff.
Oh, Sam, we both got fresh haircuts.
I got
the fade
a little bit.
Yeah,
I got the Arizona.
I would have gotten
blonde.
a haircut too, but my usual what is she? Stylist. She just recently had her baby, so I'm gonna be growing it out for a while.
Kind of bullshit excuse.
I mean, I could have J-Nell try it, but I'm not sure. That probably ends up with a buzz cut at some point.
Oh, JT, I can do it.
No, you can't.
No, I can do it. I'm actually pretty good. Ask Rohit.
I won't.
Okay.
She can't spare like 20 minutes to get you looking fresh for the Open. She must not understand the significance of what's on the line here.
I don't think she does, but you know what? Next time I see her, I'll make sure she knows.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
Yeah, that's. I mean, real quick before we go, JT, you asked us what we're looking forward to, and well, we're definitely looking forward to the Open. What we talked about for the last 45 to 50 minutes is probably what I'm looking forward to just as much. But we can get out of here, or we can keep going. I don't care.
No, we're getting out of here. This was your Ryan Saunders news and your NBA Top Shot promotion. We are not affiliated with the NBA, despite what you may have believed watching this. So we'll catch you guys later. Thanks for joining us.
Peace. See you guys.